This is Ross Feingold on the Taiwan Hashtag program, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, and hosted by Storm Media Group. If you like our shows, please subscribe on Storm Media's YouTube page. Recent days, we've had a series of polls, and we had a candidates debate. Yes, an actual debate where the candidates got to respond to questions asked by real journalists, unlike previous weeks where there were candidate forums, no questions by journalists. The candidates just got to speak in several rounds. So they did get a chance to respond to what the other candidates said, but there were no journalists asking questions. Some might say tough questions. We'll talk about some of those questions in a second. But right before the candidates debate, we did have another round of polling. And let's go to our whiteboard and look at some of the recent polls. Not much change. It seems like the voters have either made their decision or, frankly, maybe they've gotten turned off by the mudslinging that's coming from all sides. It's not just one side or the other side. I think we see a lot of negativity in this presidential campaign. No surprise, that's the nature of democratic politics and the nature of Taiwan politics. But here are the numbers. Han Kuo-yu, close to 28%. Tsai Ing-wen, 48%. James Song-Chu-yu, about 6.6%. So not much change, very similar to previous polls over the course of the last few months. Once the candidates sort of crossed, once Tsai Ing-wen went from being way behind to being way ahead, the numbers have generally been in this range. There are some polls with a greater differential. Some polls put Tsai Ing-wen even over 50%, or put Han Kuo-yu as low as 20, even below 20. Yeah, even in the teens, there's some polls that have him falling that far behind Tsai Ing-wen. We have to keep in mind, as we discussed in previous programs, Han Kuo-yu has told his supporters, if you get that phone call from the polling companies, say you're going to vote for Tsai, don't say you're going to vote for me. Let's muck up the poll results. So the Han Kuo-yu campaign will say, don't believe these polls, because a lot of the Han supporters are actually saying they'll support Tsai. So in reality, Han's campaign says these numbers are much more close than these polling data indicate. Is that the truth? Well, we'll find out on January 11th. We don't really know for sure. But there's something to be said for consistency. And this is the consistent result from most polls, most reputable polls, over the past couple of months as we've gotten closer to the election. So not much change. Mayor Han Kuo-yu of Kaohsiung, the Kuomintang candidate, what are you going to do about it? Well, you had a chance with the recent candidate forums. You didn't move the numbers after those forums. Now, to be fair to Han, he came across pretty well in some of the forums, forums, not necessarily on substance, but certainly on style. He looked a bit more composed and professional. He stated his case with enthusiasm that he's the change candidate. He's different than Tsai Ing-wen. He did, of course, say he'll try and restore the state of relations with China more to what it was under Ma Ying-jeou's presidency from 2008 to 2016. So he did okay, to be fair to Han, in those forums. But in the debate, how did Han do? That's what everybody's been talking about in recent days, ever since the candidates debate on Sunday. And again, keep in mind, this poll was taken before the debate, but probably not much is going to change in the debate. And some of the online instant reaction to the debate this past Sunday indicated that most of the viewers felt that Tsai Ing-wen kind of held her own. She didn't really say anything wrong. She didn't misrepresent any of her policies. She faced a few tough questions. Maybe some of the voters would have preferred more detailed answers, more specificity on her policies going forward. But Han Kuo-yu or Song-Chu tried to criticize her over a number of things, China relations and other issues. These attacks weren't very successful. What people are often talking about, though, is Han Kuo-yu's reaction to very difficult questions about his personal life. Now, Han Kuo-yu has been the subject of a lot of negative media attention. This goes back to his candidacy for mayor a little over a year ago, when he did win in a bit shock. the Kaohsiung mayoral election, but over the last few months, once he became the Kuomintang candidate by winning their party primary, there's been a lot of negative media attention, of course, and to be fair, he's been criticized for his job or how well or not well he's doing his job as Kaohsiung mayor. That's very fair for media or politicians to attack him on that. They could say you haven't lived up to your campaign promises, and some of that would be true. And they could say you just got elected and a year later you're running for president. You're leaving the people of Kaohsiung behind. And that would be a very fair criticism as well, although that happens very commonly with candidates in Taiwan. So he's not the first candidate to very quickly seek a different office after being elected to a particular office. And there's been the criticisms of his personal life, so stories that he likes to drink or womanize. It's been on the internet, and he's had to defend these accusations. One of the accusations was that he paid for the home, an apartment of a lady friend of his. And a reporter asked about this during the candidate debate on Sunday and asked Han if he was going to explain clearly what his financial relationship was to this particular woman. And Han did not like this question at all. He then proceeded to criticize several media outlets, not just the media outlet of the journalist who asked the question, but he criticized several media outlets by name, including Sanli, which is a television station, also an online news outlet, Apple Daily, a very big online newspaper, also very well known in Hong Kong. And he said, you guys are just attacking me constantly. You don't attack President Tsai. You just attack me, and it's really inconsiderate. I mean, that's basically what his message was. He was angry. He didn't scream and yell, but he was clearly angry with the question. He felt it's unfair that he's being asked this. And then, because he criticized the media, he was then criticized in turn for not being sufficiently respectful of press freedom. So a very interesting dynamic at play here. Did Han Kuo-yu say that the media shouldn't ask questions? No, he didn't say that. All he said was, you're attacking me, these negative questions about my personal life. It's got nothing to do with the presidential campaign. You're not asking President Tsai analogous questions about her personal life. You're only doing it to me, and this is inappropriate. Is that fair for a politician to criticize? Well, Donald Trump, President of the United States, he criticizes the mainstream media all the time. And then some people make the same counter criticism. They say, oh, you're not sufficiently respectful of media freedom. Well, be that as it may, we still have a fairly free media environment, both in the United States and here in Taiwan. In fact, because there's such a free media environment, the media can criticize Han Kuo-yu. They could ask him about these things. The key question here is whether or not that was an appropriate question for the candidates' debate, for that setting. And again, Han Kuo-yu felt it wasn't. He said so to the media, and then he gets attacked for not being sufficiently supportive of media freedom. Ironically, the third candidate, James Song Chu-yu, the chairman of the People First Party, the guy who's got less than 7% support in the most recent polls, he said, well, we shouldn't look to Donald Trump as the example. We shouldn't follow how he criticizes the media. Of course, there's great irony in James Song Chu-yu saying that, given decades ago when he was the media regulator in Taiwan, he was responsible for some aspects of the lack of media freedom at the time, because Taiwan was under martial law. Mr. Song, you've certainly come a long way now that you so enthusiastically support press freedom. You even criticize Donald Trump for not being sufficiently supportive of press freedom, and you criticize Han Kuo-yu. Anyway, it's not going to help Song Chu-yu get elected. So President Tsai, what does she need to do in the final days? We're just a little more than a week away, about 10 days from the presidential election. Well, she's going to be having rallies around Taiwan. Some of them will be with her running mate, Lai Ching-te, William Lai, former premier, former mayor of Tainan. It's clearly helped President Tsai's campaign that she picked Lai Ching-te to be her running mate. So good choice there, President Tsai. It's good that the two of you patched things up. So we'll see the rallies. We'll probably see a lot of social media from President Tsai. She's clearly been very masterful, and her team has been very masterful at using it. So expect a lot of social media campaign in the final days Han Kuo-yu, he'll have his rallies. His rallies tend to be, more along the lines of traditional Taiwan-style political rallies. A lot of people on the stage, a lot of music, a lot of flags, a lot of Republic of China flags. Not the Taiwanese flag, it's the Republic of China flag. We've talked about that on previous programs. So that was something that worked for him a year ago in Kaohsiung, this kind of appeal to patriotism. Tsai Ing-wen is not a supporter of the Republic of China. I'm the guy who's the supporter of the Republic of China. Again, it worked in Kaohsiung. It may not work in the national election. So we'll see some rallies from Han Kuo-yu as well. Will be interesting to see how much TV advertising the two campaigns have done. It seems that Han Kuo-yu has been suffering from a lack of sufficient budget to do television advertising. We'll see if he addresses that in the final weeks, if there's a push. Also, something to watch for the Han Kuo-yu campaign. Very, very important. Unity. Can he bring back into the fold someone like Wang Jingping, the former Speaker of the Legislative Yuan, a senior Kuomintang legislator? He was going to run for president. He didn't like the primary process that was eventually won by Han Kuo-yu, decided to drop out of the primary. He has not enthusiastically endorsed Han Kuo-yu, but there's rumors and stories that he will in the final days come back into the fold, come home to the party, and support Han Kuo-yu. Also, a person to watch, Terry Go Tai-ming, the gentleman who lost, who came in number 2 to Han Kuo-yu in the Kuomintang Party primary. Will he campaign? Will he endorse Han Kuo-yu in these final few days? Again, a lot of media speculation about this. He's clearly not going to endorse President Tsai. He does seem to have a good relationship with James Song Chu-yu and has endorsed some of the candidates, or some crossover candidates in the legislature, people who get endorsements from James Song and Terry Go Tai-ming. But will Go Tai-ming, Terry Go, will he endorse and campaign for Han Kuo-yu? Something to watch in the final days. Will it make a difference? Well, again, let's look at those poll numbers. Mr. Han, you are so far behind. It's not clear if there's anything you could do at this point, because it seems like a lot of the voters have already made their decision or simply turned off. So, Han, good luck in the last 10 days trying to fix this great gap in the polls. I'm Ross Feingold. You've been watching Taiwan Hashtag, hosted by Storm Media.